He won't settle.
Yeah, except, like, cannibalism. But from what these ladies are saying, they're not worried about any chainsaw cats. In fact, when they talk about Leatherface, they sound like friggin' Chelsea.
Poor sweet boy.
Sweet boy.
Henrietta forces Aaron to drink some of her famous tea.
Alright guys, so I'm just gonna play some of this because I'm bored.
Aaron realizes why that baby's such a poopy pants when she sees a picture of her with a different family.
That's not your baby. You stole her!
How very clever of Aaron. If only she hadn't let them pour tea down her gullet, then maybe she'd be able to get out of there. But she did, so she isn't. Live and let learn, I suppose. She's woken up by Sheriff Hoyt pouring beer on her face, and we see the main members of the Hewitt family all together at last. There's Hoyt, his mama Luda May, that woman from the general store, her brother Monty, the guy who was feeling up that heel booty in the bathroom, and Luda May's grandson Jedediah, the amazing dirt wonder. And of course, there's Leatherface, whose real name in this timeline is Thomas Brown Hewitt. Luda May yells at Aaron, while young little Jed begs his grandma not to hurt the nice lady from Seventh Heaven. Leatherface throws Aaron into the basement, which has now flooded for no other reason I can think of than to have Jed feel the all wet. Wonder if that was a suggestion by producer Michael Bay after he had her washing car or some shit. Aaron finds Annie pretty much crucified on a vehicle, and in fact for this scene, actor Mike Vogel had to endure 5 hours hanging up on a painful harness system. Ouch. Maybe you could help him off that thing, Aaron? Yeah, just like that. Oh god, never mind. Now it's worse. Yeah, you should be. Andy begs Aaron to put him out of his misery, and when she finally agrees to do it, she goes about it in the dumbest way possible. She just stabs him in the gut. Come the fuck on. Who would ever be that dumb? At least aim for the heart. You can still take a shower in his blood all the same, Aaron. Only he won't be dying a torturously slow death. Ugh. Aaron then finds Morgan having a spot of tummy time, and looks like he's still alive too. She helps him out as Jedediah appears and tells them to follow him to safety. But right as they start to, oh, it's fucking Leatherface! We're in his chainsaw blade and chasing them through this narrow underground corridor. Aaron and Morgan manage to escape Leatherface and the subterranean meat cellar with a little assistance from Jedediah. Good dirty boy. They flee the Hewitt house and limp their way into a nearby building, but when they're unable to find any exit, I guess nobody's repaired any generators, Aaron has to stuff Morgan into a cubby and then hide on her own, since Leatherface has followed them inside and is eager to make his family proud. He hole punches the wall to get at her and is all ready to cut her in half with his chainsaw when Morgan stops him with a body slam. They wrestle around for a while, and Aaron tries to help, but Leatherface wins the handicap match and pins Morgan up on a spiky chandelier. Way to improvise a meat hook, Tommy boy. Leatherface kills Morgan by taking his saw up between his legs while Aaron scrambles away. Aaron's back on the track, and although this is like the bazillionth chainsaw chase we've seen, at least Daniel Pearl gives us some pretty handsome shots to look at while we watch the same old action, which includes Leatherface falling and cutting himself, just like he did on the road at the end of the first movie. Aaron makes it to an actual meat packing plant, which is great because we always hear so damn much about slaughterhouses in these movies that it's about time we see one in person, especially if it's replacing the overdone dinner scene. My only complaint is that apparently the Hewitts didn't own this meatpacking plant, because if they did, they could have been the Hewitt Packers. Leatherface follows Aaron into the plant, chasing her through rooms full of Hellraiser hooks and freezers full of dead meat, and she thought they smelled bad on the outside. Also, since production couldn't afford that many slabs of fake meat, those are actual cow carcasses they're using here. Probably not the best experience for Jessica Biel, who's a longtime vegan. And to make matters worse for her, she's unable to get through this chase scene without getting needlessly wet again. Damn, girl, you must be freezing in there. Aaron arms herself with a cleaver and hides in a locker, and Leatherface walks around looking like a badass. Yeah, that's a pretty cool fucking Leatherface shot. Her locker camping strategy works, and she's able to jump out with the cleaver and hack into Leatherface's arm. She hacks the thing right off, in fact, and leaves Leatherface behind with only one arm. Aw, and the one he lost was his chainsaw arm too? That's gonna affect his livelihood, Aaron. Aaron escapes into the wet night and flies down a semi-truck for help. And in a rare moment of relief for the paranoid watchers among us, the driver doesn't end up being a Sawyer or Hewitt. But he does get weirded out by Aaron, who mutters like that hitchhiker did, and similarly screams when she sees that they're headed back to the barbecue store. When the driver pulls off and parks at the store, Aaron gets out and runs around back, where she sees through the window the Hewitts all together, fawning over that stolen baby of Henrietta's. The truck driver inadvertently distracts them when he asks for help with the whole Aaron situation, and while he talks to to the Hewitts, Aaron snatches the baby up. Sorry, Henrietta, but you know what they say about babies. Easy come, easy go. As Aaron hotwires another vehicle, Sheriff Hoyt approaches the semi-truck, and some sneaky Hobbits' editing leaves you thinking that he's about to open that door to find Aaron. But she's not in the truck. Instead, she hotwired his sheriff's car and runs him over like a motherfucker with it. Right? And she's all about that double tap, too. Wait, scratch that. She's going for the triple tap. Damn. 1, 2, 3. He is out. Aaron drives away with that stranger baby, hopefully to help it and not sell it on the dark web or anything. And although Leatherface gives her a parting glance with his chainsaw, it's really only so he can half-assedly recreate the famous final shot from the original. The movie ends with the return to that framing device in the sleep room, even though it feels entirely unnecessary at this point. Or rather it would, except it gives us 2 more kills after Leatherface pops out and kills the cop on camera as well as the cam-off cop.
The crime scene was not properly secured by Travis County Police. 2 investigating officers were fatally wounded that day.
See? The proof is in the Larricat. 2 more kills for the cow. Thanks, John. And, you know, Leatherface. How many kills did the Hewitts do it to it? Let's find out in the numbers. Ah! 8 people died. Tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James H. Anise, and today we're looking at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning, released in 2006 as a prequel to the 2003 reboot. The Beginning mostly takes place in 1969, 4 years before Jessica Biel and her friends stumbled into the Hewitt family hellscape. In this movie, we follow another group of hot young people who find themselves victimized by the Hewitts. Aside from an incidental plot point about draft dodging the Vietnam War, there's hardly anything memorable about The Beginning. Most of it plays out exactly as you'd expect, and since it's a prequel, you already know that all the Hewitt family members are going to survive. Although there is a cool bit of backstory involving Sheriff Hoyt's origin. There's a lot more gore than the remake, since Saw and Hostel had come out by this point, and the filmmakers felt the need to keep upping the ante. But this prequel still ends up being probably the most forgettable entry of the franchise alongside Part 3. Doesn't mean we won't get cool kills in it, though. So let's find out how many we're working with here and get to that. The movie begins at a slaughterhouse in 1939. Back in my day, we didn't need no Leatherface to slam our metal doors. Doors did it themselves, they did. An unnamed woman working inside starts complaining to her boss about some stomach pains before her water breaks, which quickly turns into a blood flood. And it's steaming blood? What the fuck? Anyway, this is enough to kill the poor woman, making her our first addition to the kill count. The baby she died giving birth to has some kind of skin condition that creeps out her boss so much he ends up tossing it into a dumpster. The baby is found later by a young Luda Mae Hewitt, who's more than willing to rescue it and take it home to the Hewitt house so Arlie Ermey can get a jump start on berating it.
That's the ugliest thing I ever saw.
Yeah, almost as ugly as this title card. The opening credit sequence involves backstory about Thomas Hewitt, aka Leatherface, and the town he lives in that we probably could have figured out on our own. But hey, how else could we have gotten that flashbulb sound effect so early? After all that, we're in 1969, and the slaughterhouse is being condemned and closed thanks to that pesky health department. Always trying to keep rat feces out of our food. I thought this was America. With the plant closing down, young Tommy Hewitt is now out of a job, so he's forced to hand in his apron and cleaver. That gives Thomas some economic anxiety, and he takes it out by whacking the slaughterhouse owner with a mallet, knocking him to the ground. He kills the dude with a bash to the head and an evil glare into the camera. And as far as I'm concerned, this is the moment that Thomas Hewitt became Leatherface. I mean, he is already wearing leather on his face. Oh, and look, a chainsaw. Perfect. While Leatherface is busy establishing his origin story, a guy named Sheriff
where am I?
visits the Hewitt house. There, he tells a silhouetted Hewitt man that they found the body of the slaughterhouse owner, so now they're gonna have to go arrest old Leatherface Tom. Sheriff Winston is played by Bruce Temple, he of The Walking Dead, and that real rough scene in the director's cut of Rob Zombie's Halloween. In his brief screen time, he manages to bring a real hellbilly quality to this movie. You could bring a horse to organism using your finger. You believe that shit? Winston mentions that this town has dried up so much, he's the last damn police in the whole damn place. That means he's the only one here to deal with Thomas, who he tries to apprehend when he finds him walking down the middle of the road. But Sheriff Winston,
What the hell?
Hewitt family loyalty.
Whoa, what the hell?
Please shotgun by, wait for it, R. Lee Ermey, which you probably had already guessed. She actually killed a whole fucking sheriff's department. Turns out Sheriff Winston's last name was Hoyt, and with him dead, we see the origin of the Sheriff Hoyt we're familiar with, who, turns out, isn't actually a sheriff at all, and whose name isn't actually Hoyt. His real name is Charlie Hewitt. Charlie Two Hats, they call him. And like I said in the intro, I do like this reveal. It's kind of funny, and explains his very unpolice-like behavior in the reboot. Not that it really needed explaining, of course. Also unnecessary, this supervillain speech Hoyt gives at the dinner table that night to his mama Luda May and his uncle Monty. He tells them that with everyone else having left the town, they're now going to rule over it and starting with
Jesus.
their namesake, the real Sheriff Hoyt. Ooh, Leatherface died. By the way, speaking of Leatherface, he's once again played by Andrew Bernarski, who carried the chainsaw in the reboot. And although he's not wearing people face masks just yet, he does have that Mankind bundle to cover up the pockmarked face makeup that Greg Nicotero and Howard Berger skillfully apply. With the Hewitt family origin story out of the way, we can meet their soon-to-be victim. Our final girl is Chrissy, played by Georgina Brewster and her Sure, his movie grossed $1 billion, but for me, she'll always be that chick from the faculty. Her boyfriend Eric, played by the phenomenally attractive Matt Bomer, is returning to Vietnam for a voluntary second tour.
Let's try this new arrow I made.
Drafted little brother, only problem is Deanie Weenie and his girlfriend Bailey are planning to dodge that draft and hide out in Mexico. On their way to a base, they stop at the Hewitt family's best little general store in Texas, ostensibly so the ladies can pee, but really so they can run into this biker couple, Alex and Holden, for plot purposes. Yay, plot stuff. After they're back on the road, Dean inexplicably decides that this is the best time to burn his draft car right there in the back of his brother's Jeep. Obviously, Eric notices, and they get into an actually interesting argument about things like PTSD and the morality of war, but it's cut short when they're flagged down by that biker chick Alex wielding a sawed-off shotgun. The distraction causes them to T-bone a cow in the middle of the road, wrecking both the beef and the Jeep, and after a very violent tumble, Christy is missing from the vehicle entirely, while the others are, well, not in the best not the best time to experience highway robbery, but that's exactly what that biker chick Alex attempts before her efforts are thwarted by a police car arriving on the scene. And it looks like they're out of luck, Alex, because this phony Sheriff Hoyt likes to shoot first and read Miranda rights later. Actually, he probably doesn't read them at any point. Might not be able to read anything at all, come to think of it. Well, Christy wakes up far from the crash. Hoyt gets the others out of the Jeep with some very unlawful behavior, including putting his gun in their faces and sexually assaulting them. Yeah, Christy, this is one occasion where the grass is much greener exactly where you're at. Hoyt finds a half-burnt draft card and asks the boys which one of them is the dirty draft dodger. Before Dean can admit to it, his brother Eric claims to be the culprit, earning him scorn and beratement from the dude who was just eating people last night. Hoyt sticks the living in the back seat, and the dead shotgun girl and shot him and then takes off, unknowingly leaving Christy behind at the crash site. While she's rummaging around for the gun that he was Eric had it, a tow truck pulls up. And although it's not Matthew McConaughey driving this thing, it is still one of Leatherface's relatives, Uncle Monty Hewitt, that guy from the reboot who had become a double amputee by that point. Looks like we've got another origin story on our hands. Monty finds Eric's gun before Christy's able to grab it, and then he hooks up the Jeep and drives off with it without ever noticing Christy in the back seat. Free Uber. Hoyt gets back to the Hewitt house and immediately hangs up the brothers out back so he can hose them down like the mischievous prick that he is. Then Monty gets back, towing the Jeep, so Christy is able to sneak around and see the boys in their perilous position. Pretty rough situation here, but at least all the kids are together. Oh, nope, Christy's off on her own again. Eventually, she flags down that other
This is weird.
as he's conveniently driving down the road. When she tells him the psycho sheriff took his gal pal Alex, he arms up and follows Chrissy back towards the Hewitt house. Hoyt surprises Eric with a roll of saran wrap, his favorite go-to tool apparently. With his brother nearly suffocating to death, Dean finally admits that he's Dean the draft dodger, and that gets Hoyt to cut open an air hole for Eric, although not in the friendliest of ways. Hoyt throws Dean to the ground and starts yelling at the youngster about his own time as a POW in Korea. Do I smell another unnecessary explanation here, this time exploring Hoyt's cannibalistic roots?
You got captured, you had two choices. Starve to death or survive.
Yep, that's exactly what I smell. Hoyt makes a deal with Dean. If he can do 20 push-ups, he'll let the draft dodger walk free. You know what they say about things that sound too good to be true. They fucking are, dumbass. And Hoyt failed to mention that the push-ups would be done while Dean is being beaten with a baton. Hey, at least
I'll have to wear this now.
See, form's important. After a brutal scene that actually took them 6 or 7 days to film, Dean finally finishes his set, but Hoyt deals out some bonus and a spine stomp, so although Dean is technically free to go now, he probably won't be moving for a while there. Meanwhile, inside the house, Bailey's not having the best of times either, since she's currently being hand-washed by Luda May so she can be presentable during tea time. That's right, it's tea time, because here comes the tea lady with her little tea kettle, and she's ready to have some tea, motherfuckers. But sorry, Bailey, no tea on the floor. Them's the tea rules. Eric manages to break himself free from his pulley system captivity, and after tending to his brother, he launches into an attack on the Hewitt, starting with a brick through the window, and then a full-on storming of the castle. He frees Bailey, and together they use the tea lady as a barrier to keep Hoyt out of the kitchen. But aside from that minor victory, everything else about their escape is a total failure. Bailey starts driving away in the tow truck, but since she didn't bother closing the door, Leatherface just hooks her right on out of the vehicle. Hoyt catches up to the brothers and knocks out Eric with his shotgun, and Dean's escape now takes him right through a bear trap. Somehow Chrissy and that biker dude Holden make it back to the house until after nightfall. While Holden heads inside to save his girlfriend, Chrissy finds Dean still stuck in that bear trap. Sucks to be him, but it's not Eric, who's currently being meal prepped by Leatherface, or Bailey, by Sheriff Hoyt. That's what the exterior shot of the scene suggests anyway. Man, sucks. There's nothing new or interesting about these torture scenes when we're seeing them for the 6th damn time. Yo, and quit trying to recreate that Pam shot from the original. It gets worse every time. Into the human, stealthily crawls around, to just walk straight the fuck in and shoot Monty. He gets the jump on Hoyt as well, and demands that he be taken to where the girl is. But the girl Hoyt leads it to is Bailey, and Holden's only interested in rescuing his girl.
You don't want to see the other.
When Holden goes to shoot Hoyt, Leatherface stops him by hitting him on with a powered-down chainsaw. But it doesn't stay powered down for long, because after Leatherface throws Holden on top of it and Hoyt holds him down, the saw gets revved up again, and Holden is killed in a loud, blood-spraying affair that doesn't end until the chainsaw is brought up through his body. With Leatherface preoccupied upstairs, Chrissy is able to find Eric, then bolts into his slab, and moves pretty out of it thanks to the old Leatherface treatment. She's unable to free him before Leatherface comes back downstairs, so she has to hide under the table and try to stay quiet as Leatherface revs up his chainsaw and kills her boyfriend right above her by cutting into Eric's torso, just barely missing Chrissy in the process. Almost had a twofer there, Thomas. This was one of my favorite kills to see the behind-the-scenes footage, since Nicotero and Berger made a full-size dummy of Eric with a cable-operated head and neck. That let them move it around while the saw went through a chest filled with fake entrails and blood. Awesome. The behind-the-scenes also showed the amazing replica Matt Bowler face with a terrifying skinned head underneath. A necessary prop for when Leatherface acquires his very first face mask in the timeline. I love that it's Matt Bomer's face too. Enjoy starting at the top, Thomas. You'll never find another face to wear that's as handsome as this one. And I'm not the only one impressed by how good-looking Matt Bomer is. Take it from the late Marietta Merrick, who played Luda May Hewitt.
What a gorgeous guy he is. He has the most fantastic eyes. Oh, he's so beautiful.
Then again, don't count yourself out, Marietta. You were damn good looking yourself at that age.
I did, believe it or not, glamour roles. Singing and dancing and television and radio. I'd done just about everything.
Still, even mean old Sheriff Hoyt thinks that Bomer face is bomb. On her way out of this traumatizing basement, Chrissy slips and falls so she can join the gratuitous wet shirt club. She's just about out the front door when she's stopped by the screams of Bailey coming from upstairs. Oh man, now I gotta save my friend's life. This night just keeps getting worse. As Chrissy and her hint of ass crack heads upstairs, the Hewitt tend to Monty and the bullet in his leg.
I trust you to do something.
Oh, Monty, you should not have trusted this asshole, because Hoyt's solution is to have Thomas the Chainsaw Engine come in and amputate the leg off entirely. Oh no, and it looks like he nicked the other leg too?
Look at that. Now, Tommy, that's goddamn sloppy. That'll get infected even more.
And that, dear viewer, is how Monty Ball plays. Chrissy finds Bailey and starts to untie her, but she's immediately discovered by Hoyt, so I guess that means we're about due for another dinner scene. And look at that, the gang's all here. Well, not all here exactly. Some of them are missing a few parts. Chrissy tries to talk shit and calls the Hewitts a bunch of inbred degenerates, but that only results in Leatherface coming out and splitting Bailey's throat, killing her right there at the dinner table. Damn, I guess Bailey won't be given any more hugs after that. But at least she had manners enough to keep her elbows off the table. For her death, they were able to use a real thick prosthetic neck filled with blood, knowing that the camera angle for this shot would hide the unnatural looking thickness. Leatherface tries to carry Chrissy back down into the basement, but she manages to escape him with a screwdriver stab to the back. She then gets out of the Hewitt house with a patented window crash dive that all Texas Chainsaw Final girls are very well versed in. You'd better go and chase after her now, Leatherface. We wouldn't want to do anything different in this movie. Dean wakes up at the dinner table and sees that his girlfriend has been killed. That discovery gives him the strength to attack Hoyt. But like I said up top, it's not all that exciting, since we know the faux sheriff's gonna live no matter how many times Dean bashes his head against the ground. Chrissy's chainsaw chase leads her to the slaughterhouse, where she finds the owner's body and, more importantly, the keys to his car. Although she tries hiding from Leatherface in a vat of animal blood, he finds her and is all ready to chainsaw her to death when Dean comes to the rescue. It's a short-lived rescue, though, and Dean is killed when Leatherface stabs him through the back with his chainsaw and lifts him up off the ground while mulching his innards. I'm surprised we haven't seen a chainsaw kill quite like this one in the series before, so good job. Chrissy gets to the car outside and starts to drive away, finally freeing herself of all this feed industry misery. But right when she spies possible redemption up ahead, Leatherface pops up in the back seat like the Moonlight Man and kills her by sticking his chainsaw through the car seat and her back. It's not often a final girl dies, but it does happen, especially when your movie's a prequel. And hey, what the hell? Let's count these two dudes that get hit by the car as well, since that was a pretty serious accident. Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at the 2007 remake of Halloween, written and directed by Rob Zombie. This is the first Rob Zombie film to appear on the Kill Count, and his movies are basically a subgenre unto themselves. Sexy, gory music videos with profane, low-class characters. That's fine when you're chilling with the Firefly family, but many Halloween fans were understandably concerned when Zombie was picked to remake the classic 1978 original. The sequel to Resurrection had been planned, but then tragedy struck. Mustafa Akkad, the grandfather of the Halloween franchise and the only person involved in all 8 of the films I've covered so far, was killed along with his daughter in a 2005 terrorist attack by Al-Qaeda in Jordan. Rest in peace and continued well wishes to their family. With Akkad gone and the series bogged down by various timelines and shitty films, Mustafa's son Malik took over and allowed a total reboot, putting Zombie in charge. He and John Carpenter told Zombie to make the movie his own, so he did, and that's why we got a Halloween featuring characters who are the human equivalent of a trailer park built on top of a dumpster. Zombie wanted to explore the backstory of Michael Myers, so the first half of this movie kind of functions as the Phantom Menace of the Halloween franchise, showing us a previously mysterious villain as an annoying little boy who probably paid the bet. The second half is just a straightforward remake, and it's where a lot of critics found fault, since it's almost painfully based on the original. Finally, one last note here. There are 2 versions of this movie, the theatrical release and the director's cut, and you've probably seen the director's cut, which is more widely available on home media. But to keep things consistent, I'm going to use the theatrical version for the kill count and show you all the differences in another cut comparison. That sound fair? Whether you think so or not, let's get to the kill. The movie begins in a familiar town on a familiar holiday. Inside this unassuming home, a living dead girl, Deborah Myers, argues with her piggish boyfriend Ronnie. And right off the bat, their dialogue tells us, yep, we're in a Rob Zombie movie right now.
The whore with the big tits hanging out to her knees?
Maybe I'll choke the chicken, purge my snorkel all over them flappy ass tits.
Ooh, but you know what? I don't want to be judgmental and assume that all the dialogue will sound like that. It's probably just a couple quick lines, right?
Bitch, I will crawl over there and I will fuck the shit out of you.
Hey, what? Yeah, these two are all sorts of dysfunctional, which is not a good living situation for Deborah's 3 kids. Little baby Angel, nicknamed Boo, is already crying up a storm here, and older sister Judith has to deal with disgusting sexual harassment from Ronnie. Yuck. Then there's younger brother Michael, who's starting his day wearing a clown mask and playing with his pet mouse Elvis. Oh, did I say playing with? I meant murdering with a scalpel, because this kid's an introductory course level psychopath. Rob Zombie's Halloween wants to do what Busta Rhymes pretended to do in Resurrection. That is, actually explore how Michael ended up the way he did. So we see him getting picked on at home by that piece of shit Rocky, and bullied at school by this piece of shit Spy Kid. The bully, Wesley, shows Michael a picture of his mom's advertising materials, and that causes a bathroom fight to break out that Michael makes worse after the principal intervenes to stop it. Michael, that's the Prince of Pal. He's your pal. Michael's continual problems in school cause a child psychologist to be brought in. One Samuel Loomis, now played by the world's greatest droog and penthouse emperor, Malcolm McDowell. He shows Deborah some things about Mikey she ain't gonna like. Stuff like a dead cat he has in his backpack, and pictures he was carrying around of dead dogs and cats. As Deborah grows more concerned, Michael takes a familiar music cue to get out of there. He runs, if that's what you want to call it, down the hallway and retrieves the clown mask from his locker, then starts following Wesley on his walk home from school. In the woods, Michael attacks Wesley and knocks it down with a friggin' tree branch, which he then uses to beat the kid relentlessly. He gets the bully to the point of tears, but doesn't stop beating him, not even letting up when the dude tries to crawl away. After a few more heavy-sounding hits, Michael lifts his mask and looks down at the bloody-faced bully, who at this point is begging for his life. But I don't know if y'all remember this, Mikey here is a textbook case of antisocial personality disorder, so he takes that tree branch and finishes the job, beating Wesley to death with it. In this timeline, Michael's first ever murder is not his older sister in an emotionless act, but a school bully in a fit of rage. That night, while watching Thing from Another World, Ronnie continues to taunt his girlfriend's son like a jackass. God, this dude sucks. And to further ruin Michael's night, Judith is refusing to take him trick-or-treating, instead opting to stay at home and get it in with her boyfriend Steve. That leads into a weird montage that intercuts Michael crying on a curb with his mom Deborah stripping to Love Hurts by friggin' Nazareth. Hey, yeah, Rob Zombie, we know you're just trying to show off how hot your wife is, man. We get it. You both should be very proud. We get a pretty random origin story for the classic Michael Myers mask here. Instead of being stolen from the Halloween mask section at the local hardware store, the Captain Kirk visage is brought into Michael's world through Steve trying to give Judith a scare in bed. She's not very impressed. Why would this kid randomly whip out a mask in that moment?
Come on, babe. I want to do it with the mask on.
What? You're not going to be able to see anything, and it's going to smell like latex the whole time. But with the mask in the mix, you know the murder can't be far behind, and Michael continues to add to the kill count after taking a bunch of duct tape and using it to tie Ronnie to his lazy boy. Damn, dude, how heavy a sleeper are you? I mean, I guess all the booze helps. In fact, Ronnie is so passed out, he doesn't actually wake up until Michael uses the chef's knife to slit his throat. It's simple in its brutality, and Michael is totally remorseless as he does it. Unlike the more emotional Wesley kill, this one truly feels like the origin kill for Michael Myers as we know him. Steve leaves Judith's room, the verdict's still out on whether or not he got to go to Clown Pound now, and while he's making a post-coital sandwich for himself at the kitchen table, Michael comes from behind with a baseball bat and thwacks him on the head with it. Damn, Mikey, that dude didn't even really do anything to you. But Michael still kills him with repeated strikes from the bat, and actor Adam Wiseman sells it with some great unsettling twitches. Maybe Judith's boyfriend in the original should be happy he's a Minuteman. It got him out of the Myers house before something like this could happen to him. Michael leaves his body on the floor as he heads towards the victim we know must come next, Sister Judith, who's listening to Don't Fear the Reaper on her headphones in an homage to that driving scene with Annie and Laurie from the original. Michael enters her room and trades out that juvenile clown mask for something more mature that he finds. It's a little big on you, kid, but don't worry, you'll grow into it. He gets weirdly pervy with his sister, which, you know, none of us really want to see, and when she realizes what he's doing, she yells at him and slaps him in the mask. That's when he takes the knife and stabs her in the stomach with it. It's a more drawn-out kill than the one from the original, as Michael takes the knife out and gives his sister a chance to make it out into the hallway. Run, Judith, run! She slowly limps away with a ridiculous-looking mini-Mike stepping out and stalking her down the hallway as Carpenter's classic score plays. He catches up to her and uses his knife to slash her all to pieces until she finally succumbs to her wounds and dies on the hallway floor. Kind of funny how 23 minutes in, this movie is just now getting to the opening scene of the original. With everyone else dead, the only other living soul in the house is Baby Boo, who Michael spares with some holiday cheer.
Happy Halloween, Boo.
Aw, that's cute. Deborah gets home from work to find Michael sitting on the porch with the baby, but he refuses to respond to her when she asks him what's wrong. Her only answer coming in the form of distant sirens growing louder. A stylized news report scene summarizes the victim.
God damn. My voice is... Why does my voice not work sometimes? Ugh.
determined if everyone at home is okay. So what? He's also dissociative now? Don't think about it. Here's a random Danny Trejo playing a friendly Smiths Grove staff member named Ismail, who has the same backstory as actual Danny Trejo.
I spent a little time behind the wall.
Yes, he did. Time goes by, and we watch as Michael's emotional and mental well-being deteriorates during his confinement. He hides behind masks, screams about how he wants to go home, until eventually he stops talking entirely to both his mom and Dr. Loomis. A little while after the silent treatment settles in, he ends up killing a nurse played by Sybil Danny by taking a loose fork and stabbing her in the neck with it. The last couple shots we see of Nurse Quinn show her still moving and breathing, but the internet says this is a kill, so I'm not going to take it away from Mikey. This murder ends up being the breaking point for Deborah Myers, as we see in the ensuing screaming match, where the only thing we, the audience, hear is the persistent alarm siren. That night, he watches some home movies on a projector before taking out a handgun and shooting himself on screen. After the gunshot, we hear the wails of little baby Boo, who's now becoming an orphan. This whole damn scene is really sad. We're finally getting out of the past. 15 years into the present, Ismail still works at Smiths Grove, but 3 months away from retirement, which means he'll soon be passing the security baton over to new guards like this abrasive dude Joel.
What's the dick going on, Ishmael? What the fuck, man?
Michael Myers has grown into a mountain of a man played by former pro wrestler.
Anyways, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Shout out to everyone that I shouted out in the video from yesterday. And, yeah, have a great day, everyone. So, yeah. Goodbye, everyone.